Okay, hello everyone. This is the fourth video in the series of modeling to the reinforced concrete frame section. It is actually not exactly the frame, but it's kind of the beam column section with having the cantilever column. With the cantilever beam. The beam will be uh, you know placed at the center of this column. Anyhow, in the previous video we were defining the rebars for our sections, and here it's crazy good moment to define some sets, because in the first video I already have defined the set of my beam and column. So you might have found these sets here. In the sets I have beam, to highlight the beam, and I have column. Okay, so now I want to define the uh, reinforcement of beam and the reinforcement of column as well in the set. Why? Because I will be needing those for my interaction surfaces when I will be embedding my rebar in the reinforced concrete. So at that moment I need to have a set of each you know instance separately. So it's a really good moment to have set. So you can click this and you can name it as reverse, continue, and then select. Oh, by the way, it also select this one. Anyhow, what we can do is just we can move our rebar a little bit from here. Let's suppose to this. Okay, now can easily define my set. Beam rebars, continue. I can select all of them and done. Okay, also for the columns, sorry, set column rebars, continue. I can choose all of the rebars and done. So now I have defines those set. It's also a good idea to define the surfaces as well for the interaction. Okay, so for that, because based on my this model that the beam is placed at the center of the column, and also based on my these details that I have, here we have beam and here we have column. It's 12 feet by 9 feet. Okay, so I need to attach my this column, this surface, to the center of the beam. So for that I will be defining some surfaces. Okay, so now we need to define the surface on the side of the column to attach our beam to that surface. One and easiest way is that if we translate our beam from here to this location, it exactly came at the center, and now we can use this feature, partition cells, and I want this cell to partition and point and normal. So here we can specify this point and this as a normal line. so it will create a partition here, and it will also appear in the features here. And also next, I want this cell to have a partition point in normal, this point and normal. Okay, and done it. So now the important thing to note here is, because you create partition with reference to this beam, so whenever you moved your beam, so this partition will be moved. For example, if I just translate this beam in the horizontal axis from this to this, nothing will happen, the partition will still remain at its surface. So this is one way that we can, you know, choose this surface, and also we can choose uh, this surface to have interaction between these two surfaces. But anyhow, the another important thing that I was talking about earlier, for example, if I translate my this instant from here to here, okay, so you can see the partition will also move with this. So this is, you know, a kind of little drawback of this method for creating partition. There are a lot of other methods. From here you can see variety of different, and you can define cutting plane, and you need to do some calculation and do some manual things, and that you will be able to create these partition independent of this instant. For example, let's suppose if I want this to move back to its original position, let's suppose here, and press OK, the partition will disappear, and it will also give me warning here that the status of this partition is failed. So you definitely need to take care of these things. Okay, bring it here, and also because I want that surface as well, so I can just this and okay. So now I can define this surface as my column surface. And also the beam, because we will tie this portion of the beam. And okay, so we also have defined these two surfaces. Okay, the next thing is that at this moment we do not need anything else, so now we can embed our rebar inside the reinforced concrete section, but at the right at the correct location. For example, you cannot simply just select this and bring it here. You need to take cover of the clear cover of the concrete. For that again you will need to do some manual calculation and think about the most suitable location. For example, that I'm doing it here, you can choose translate instant option. Done. Here let's suppose I'll choose my, let's say this point, I want to bring it here because I do not have any other reference point. Also there is another suitable way for doing this. If you create some partition here in your mm, beam section. For example, if you create partition like this, so you will be having point at this point, and then you can choose your this point and then translate your this instant that particular point. This is one way. Another way is that you just copy those from here and bring it at this point, and then again you can just suppress your beam section, and then again copy this section and copy this point, note the location of this instant, and then just do some manual calculation and just translate the rebars to that particular location. Okay, so let's do the first, let's try the first one and then we'll also talk about the second one later. So for me the easy solution is let we just simply translate this instance from here to here and then press OK. And after that what we can do is we can simply suppress our beam. Okay, so now I need to move this point negative x and negative y direction, but 1.5 inch in both directions. So the good thing is that I can know the location of this point, which is this one. I can copy it and then I can translate it from here. Okay, so now I need to subtract 1.5 inch from 0.381 from both x and y. Okay, 5.796. Is it okay? So this is the value that I need to put in the x direct. 5.7579 and also I need to translate in the same position in y direction as well. Okay, so the one thing that you need to keep in your mind is that whether these values already have any negative sign, because if already have any negative sign, so you need to consider that. Before 3 I want to move it in the downward direction, which means minus, so I will minus this value from that. 81. Okay, so this is the y value. Let's see what happened. 1.4811 811. Okay, when I press enter, so it will move it a little, but I do not know whether it's correct or not. So before entering OK, I can resume my beam section and then I can check it from here. So yes, you can see we moved it in x and y direction, but we forgot to move it in the z direction. So you can see here we also need to move it in the z direction as well. So I can, instead of clicking cross, if I click this back, it will bring me back to this position, so where I can change it. So it is also in the opposite direction of z, so I also need to subtract 0.038 from z values. But what is z value? 0.6096 minus 0.0381. so this is the value of my z, 5715. When I press enter, this will happen. So now it is perfectly in the center. We can see it. You can rotate it, and you need to make sure that it is in the center. So it seems okay. Now you can press and OK. So a little advice here to you guys is that when you place your reinforcement within the beam, So it is always a good idea to move both of these things together. For example, if you want to translate the beam and also, so you should not translate beam separately. For example, if you translate this and then translate it from here, it will translate only the beam, but the rebar will be remain in the same position. So a good idea is to translate this in this manner, select all of them and then translate it. Okay, so here I just observe that the partition that we have defined is also missing. We can see its cross. Why? Because I have suppressed my beam once. So whenever you suppressed your item, you need to uh, regenerate the partition. So it can be easy when you just simple select this and then resume. It will resume the partition. Alright, so just as I did the the step that I did for the embedment of rebar to the beam section, the same step we will follow to embed our reinforcement of column. So first we need to select all names. Okay, so you can choose any point. Let's suppose choose this and bring it here. Okay, so now I need to move this point in y direction, negative y, in negative z, and also in the x direction. Okay, in negative x, but how much? 1.5 inches. Press OK. Let's again just suppress my column because I want to select all my rebars, so I need to suppress my column. Okay, so now that I have, you know, embedded my rebar within the reinforced concrete sections, I also need to resume these. Okay, so the next thing is that, okay, we'll continue that in next video. All right.